Well, the biggest news this year in SA SBK with NGK spark plugs and Bridgestone tyres was the return to South African racing of Sheridan Morais. Sheridan Morais, a checkered career that you've had back in South Africa. There's got to be quite a lot of motivation to come and ride here at the moment for you.
Oh, definitely. I mean, as you say, NGK and the guys have put together a really good championship and things were looking up. Like there was a lot of morale, can I say, up, and everyone excited to have me back, me excited to be back. So yeah, leading up to it was really exciting and stuff, and you know, I've always wanted to come back and even just race as well in South Africa, but it's not always that easy, you know. So finally the first year that it all lined up, and now we're having to wait a little bit. Yeah.
Well, let's hope we get back to racing pretty soon. Now, talking about getting back to racing, back in the day, I think you started off probably like the rest of the kids on PW50s, that type of thing. What sort of age did you actually start?
So yeah, I learned to ride when I was 3. My first bike was a QR50, and then I raced also that same year when I was 3. I had my first race on a PB50. So yeah, I've been in it. It's been a laugh. I mean, my dad did it, and it's all I've ever wanted to do, and grateful, and I keep working. I just keep striving to carry on with it, you know. Like you say, I started in the mini cross and that, and then headed over to road, and I didn't really want to, you know. I liked the dirt and I liked all that stuff, but once I started on the roads, then I fell in love and forgot about dirt bikes completely.
Kicked off a little, I think it was a 50cc Yamaha that you went out and spent weeks going around Mid-Vaal track just to learn how to ride.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously with us being in the south, and back then Mid-Vaal was the track, like all the northern regions, and you know, Gauteng was massive for racing. So yeah, we all ended up spending our time, all the kids would go to practice at Mid-Vaal. So you know, my family never went on holidays and stuff as kids. When we had time, we rode bikes and bicycles and that kind of thing. So when December holidays came around, that year when I started on road racing, which was 99, we went to Mid-Vaal for a full week and learned how to ride. And then when Mid-Vaal closed for their holiday or whatever, my dad plotted out a course in Elroad, which I used to go around and learn even more on that. So yeah, it was I mean, like I say, when I first got on the road bike, I was a bit like, oh, I wish this was a KX80 or whatever. But yeah, once I got into it, I absolutely fell in love and just forgot about dirt.
Then you got into the national series, and it came in with a bit of a bang right away, because obviously you'd done well in regionals, Lichtenberg, all those sort of places. Yeah. Came into nationals with a bit of a bang.
Yeah, I thought I was a rock star at the time. You know, you have to learn these things, and but yeah, for sure, when I was a kid and I was 15 on a 600. And running at the front of regionals, and you know, the world at my feet kind of thing. And I mean, we knew lap times and stuff, and from when national guys would come to Mid-Vaal and test or these kinds of tracks, we knew we were like fast. So obviously we went to nationals thinking this is it, where we're going to go MotoGP in a year or two. And I remember going to my first national at Kyalami. This is where now I thought, okay, it's going to happen. And there were 48 bikes. I think it was a support race for World Superbikes, and I mean, we had to qualify. All the top regional guys were in like 25th place and 30th place, and it was a big eye opener to me. And you know, you're a kid, so you go through all these things and emotions, and I suppose you go through them as an adult, but as a kid you take them a bit differently, you know. And I was like, oh man, down and all these things. But then the next weekend I'd be at regionals, setting lap records and stuff, and slowly it just built up, and eventually we were at the front of that pack of 48 bikes or whatever. So yeah, it just took a bit of hard work, and my old man and my family have been behind me tremendously, and anytime I had a shadow of doubt, my dad was there telling me how good I am and telling me I can do it, and he knows I can. So I guess that's what got me there eventually, yeah.
Obviously then the big break came for you to try and go overseas. You're one of those guys who wasn't just content to race in South Africa. You won a lot here, 1000s, 600s. Then the big thing was to go overseas for you.
Yeah, that was my dream from when I was just getting my knee down on a TZR50. So overseas was a thing. Like no matter what, when MotoGP would come to Pekisa, I would make a plan. I'd hitch a ride or whatever, because my dad was working, and just whatever it had to be to go there and watch those little 125s. I mean, I don't like little bikes now, 2 strokes and these little things. It's not my thing. Like even Moto 3 doesn't really interest me, but as a kid, that was it. I did not care about the Premier class and that. Just wanted to go race that. So of course that was my ambition. And even when I finally, in those days in nationals, like you could earn a decent living and all these things. So if you actually made it as a pro, which I eventually did, you could have made a good living over here and made something out of that, as many people did. But that wasn't good enough for me, because World Championships is where I wanted to be. And it was actually a deciding moment in my career, if you'd say, because I got offered good deals and stuff like that with good money and so many good things in the background. But I ended up going with Robbie Peterson, because I knew that he could try and help me get overseas, and he had experience overseas, one of the few guys that had that. So I ended up going with Uncle Robbie, and I was so glad for that, because I had 3 good years, the best years of my racing, the years I look back on now. That when I think about good racing and good times at racing, those are the times I think back to. So yeah, then obviously when I went to World Superbikes I tried to hack it, and I tried to go to BSB, and bear in mind, these weren't the days when you had to pay for riding. You had to like prove your worth, but to get there wasn't so easy. So I tried to hack it in BSB, and I went to a few places just on one-off rides, and I did a ride and got some results and some possibilities. But the first good chance I got was when I got to Superstock, and I did pretty well over there. I got some decent results in that, but financially I couldn't stay there, so came back to South Africa, built up a bit of a backing again with prize monies and all these kinds of things going on, so that I could go and pursue it again over there. And luckily I got that wild card with Kawasaki after Makoto Tamada broke his leg and they were coming to Kyalami. So I think that was 2010, and I got that shot in that Kawasaki, and I think it was a week before the race, but when they made that call, boy, I was in it to win it. At the time, it was the first factory entry of this new era of superbikes for Kawasaki, and they hadn't scored a point yet, so they were really battling and all these things, but I didn't care about that. I was in World Superbikes, so they came here and I did really well for them. I got 2 top 10s, and I qualified really well, and it was promising for them. So that pretty much got my international career going, and got me a foot in the door and a few more wild cards in super sports and these things. And after that, that's what got me full-time rides. So yeah, that was a highlight point for me for sure.
Shez, and then you got the big chance to ride a factory Kawasaki in the Supersport class with world champion at the time, Kenan Sofoglu. That must have been pretty intimidating. And what was it like for you, putting pressure on you, riding with those sort of guys? Were they fast? How did you find it?
I mean, the only pressure I've ever taken is from myself, like just to perform from myself. I've never worried about who's who and whoever I'm racing against and stuff. So the pressure from myself was to cut it, to make it. 2012, I got this opportunity to ride the factory Kawasaki, but it was on a condition. I didn't get paid a cent. There was good prize money and stuff, but you had to finish on the podium to get prize money. I had a lot of pressure on myself that year, because I had been there, I'd spent whatever money I'd saved from winning races in South Africa, I'd spent that all before to get there. And it never worked out, and I had nothing after that. I had to come back and save up again to get over there, prove myself. So the big pressure for me that year was to make it, and it was too much pressure. Like I had weekends where I was really fast and setting the pace and qualifying on pole, but I'd crash in a race, or lots of little things, but just not like me, because I'm not a crasher and all these things. But I had a lot of pressure that year, and it proved too much, So after that year, I had a few. It never worked out. I ended up 5th or 6th in the championship, so a good result. But if I wanted to maintain that ride at least, or get something better, I had to be in the top 3 for that year. So, I mean, the financial pressure was hard, but we could make it. My wife and I, she can rough it out for me. So she did, and it wasn't easy, that side of things, but the biggest problem was the pressure that I put on myself. Like I was training too much, I was dieting too much, I was doing all of the wrong things, you know, my head wasn't right. So it was when I look back on it, I wish I could have gone into it with the mentality I have now, because I understand how these things work. But yeah, it wasn't to be. And after that, I tried my hand in a few different places and came back to South Africa as well, did some racing in South Africa, which was fun, but I never committed to a year again in South Africa after that, just where I could ride, because any riding was training at the end of the day. And led to Moto America, some more years in World Super Sport, but Moto America, which was really cool. I liked the racing in that. It was a little bit Mickey Mouse, to be honest, from what I'd seen growing up, watching AMA and watching. It was really good back then, and they'd painted a really good picture. So when I went there, I thought it's going to be like World Superbikes or something like that. But it was actually quite Mickey Mouse, which was nice because it was like South Africa. You know, it was just fun and good camaraderie and all that stuff. But most importantly, I was competitive again. I climbed on a super stock bike. They raced with Superbikes, but it was a good bike. It was the Aprilia with SBK racing. And we were running at the front of even the Superbike class from my first race there. So that was really cool for me. It got my spirit up and got interest again. And bear in mind that I was racing the World Endurance all along, but that wasn't my passion. Like, it's really cool, but I don't get to race as hard as I can for whatever 20 laps and get the reward at the end. There's so many things depending on it, and it's brutally hard. Those 24 hours are so hard. So I was doing that all on the sideline and doing well at it, but with the goal, obviously my number one goal was to get into sprint racing, ideally World Championship. So Moto America was good for that, but it also put me at a crossroads then, because I was then stuck with a choice of, now do I persist with the World Endurance to try and create a future for myself there, or Moto America, because I had to make a choice. I couldn't do both anymore. And that was when 2017, when this Kallio racing with Yamaha ride came about, because I'd built up a relationship with Yamaha over the years, but mainly with Mandy at Yart for the World Endurance racing. So with this relationship, I had an opportunity to go to Kallio, and I couldn't turn it down. No matter how good the Moto America deal was, or any ride that was going to come about for me in Moto America, I'm still like that now. I'm 35 now and I'm still like that. I'd still shoot myself in the foot to go race World Championship. But yeah, I'm glad I went to Kallio eventually. So I stayed with Yamaha both in the World Endurance and then with Kallio in the World Super Sports, and I had my best year that year. Won a race, got podiums, pole positions. It was awesome. I mean, it didn't turn out, but it was good at the time for sure.
Then coming back to South Africa, after all of that stuff going on, come back to the domestic series, SA SBK, we call it now, with NGK. And it's been exciting. Obviously, as you said earlier, we stuck behind doors at the moment, looking forward to the doors opening, going back out there. But the first round, you came here, I think you got the bikes pretty late and you had a few problems getting your license organized, so very little practice. That must have been a tough one for you at Swartkorps.
Yeah, it was really tough that first round, but I mean, we knew what we were getting into. At the end of the day, I've raced everywhere around the world, and I'm not a fool. The guys in South Africa are fast. So we knew we had it a tough. Our back was up against the wall. So we made the best of what we had, but we did get to ride the bike quite a lot. It just wasn't in the full race trim. We got to practice quite a lot at Red Star because Kawasaki made a plan for us to get the bikes. So we spent 2 or 3 days at Red Star riding the bike and getting used to the Bridgestone tires, and we were good. We weren't crazy fast. We know what the lap times are from previous years and stuff, so we knew we weren't very fast, but we were okay. Then going to Swartkorps again, we were half a second off the pace, but around Swartkorps it's just too much. But I mean, the week after Swartkorps we had already found massive gains just by fitting some race parts and stuff, and trying some geometry stuff that we didn't have enough time to try. So although Swartkorps we were fast, we just weren't fast enough, you know. We were racing against guys that have been riding bikes every season and with their teams and that. So I mean, I still had fun. It was still good racing and that, but just you want to win. I don't want to make up the numbers. That's not why I'm racing. So the South African racing, I mean, although the results weren't lacquer for that first round, the camaraderie, the morale in the pits, and it was just like I remember, and that was really cool actually. Yeah.
So the big showdown between Clint Seller, Sheridan Morais, the rest of the year, and of course now we throw in Dave McFadden and of course Lance Isaacs. The showdown's still to come.
Yeah, I think when everything gets going, it's going to be jam-packed, and yeah, I think it's going to be good racing because everybody's evenly matched at all the tracks. I can't think of a single track where one guy is just fast. You know, everywhere the guys are fast. So I haven't been to a lot of the tracks for a long time, but it's just a little track, and even thinking back then, there was no tracks that I would choose that I knew I can win by 10 seconds here. So yeah, I think the racing is going to be intense, especially coming from overseas and stuff. Like, I don't come here and get kicked by all the guys that have just been staying in South Africa. You know, it's just not it's even more incentive to go and win. So, but at the same time, they've got more incentive to say we want it to be overseas kind of thing. So yeah, I think it's going to make for exciting racing. I mean, there's 4 guys that stand out for the championship and for the race wins and that, but there's a lot of kids and youngsters and up and coming guys that are showing their hand, and like when I was a kid, like winning regionals and stuff like that. So there's a lot of depth and talent. So hopefully with time coming now, those guys will be showing their face at the front of the field as well, and we're on the path to turn racing back to what it was, where there's 10 guys that can win the race, you know. So yeah, that's all exciting, and we can't wait to get going. Sean Bester, he's got the bike stored at their house, and they every day sending pictures of he's changed this. Oh, what does this sticker look like? How does it look like at this angle? Maybe we should try this on the bike next time we ride. So the enthusiasm's there, and just can't wait to get going again. Yeah.
Before I let you go, any riders that you kind of look up to, aspire to, who would be your kind of all-time favorite rider?
You know, when I was a little kid and getting chased out the garage of Greg Dreyer and Russell Wood and all those guys, the one guy that didn't know me, didn't have to be nice to me, didn't have to do anything for me was Colin Edwards. And the first time I met him, he gave me a set of his boots, and just a humble guy, and what I hope that I can be for kids, you know. And yeah, because of that, you know, I've never necessarily looked up to anybody in terms of, yeah, he's great because he can win all the races, or he can wheelie and he's so cool or whatever. So not necessarily that, but by being a good person, you know. And Colin Edwards was one of the very few that gave me something for nothing. He didn't expect anything from me, he didn't know me. So yeah, I take my hats off to him, and to this day I still go and do the Texas Tornado boot camp and that, and humble person and just down to earth, yeah, my kind of guy for sure. So I mean, other than my dad's crazy, he's my hero and stuff, but yeah, in racing terms, Colin Edwards is a good person now.
Well, Shez, great talking to you. We look forward to the rest of the season. Let's hope it kicks off ASAP, and we wish you and your Kawasaki team all of the best.
Thank you guys, appreciate it.